We're back in business, baby.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh, yeah? Let me.
We're a little late for this kind of beer. It's a pumpkin chocolate chip from Red Rock. That is really good. I like it. It's like a pumpkin pie. In a
Definitely
can.
has a pumpkin aftertaste. I think it's all right.
Yeah, our friend Curtis got it for us. Thanks, Curtis.
That's pretty good.
It's free. It's $3.99.
I'll take a free beer anytime.
And it's cold. I like that it's cold. On my way to your house tonight, I'm parked behind. So I'm behind this truck, and I can't make out what's in the back of his truck. He's got like all this shit like spilling over the bed of his truck, and he's got this kennel. And I see a bunch of like fuzz in there. I'm like, what's that kind of? It's like a dog in there just hunched over. So I'm driving behind him. We stop at a light, and this little head looks up. He had fucking raccoons in a cage in the bed of his truck.
I bet that guy's interesting.
Like 3 of them.
I bet like he has some good stories to tell.
Yeah, I sent a video to my wife. I'm like, you'll never guess what this is.
Raccoons.
It's raccoons in this guy's car.
So I started cutting my own steaks.
I thought you've been doing that for a while now.
Did I bring it up on my last? What?
I thought you've always done it. Like you got a big slab of meat and you've been cutting steaks?
Yeah, from Costco. Like you get steaks haven't been cut and you save a bunch of money. I cut a bunch of ribeyes last week.
Nice.
Got like 16 in the freezer.
Sweet. Is this going next to your big old wall of wood that you're still burning?
Yeah, it's been like a year and a half.
You got like a surplus of meat and wood.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a sacrifice in my backyard. You're invited, but
hell yeah,
you are the sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
Well,
as long as I get a little bit of steak before I go, I'll be happy.
You are the steak.
I am the steak. I've been cutting my own steaks, man.
I feel uncomfortable.
You're next. I wondered why you locked the door behind me. You watched any new scary movies lately? Anything exciting in your life?
Daddy, I cut a steak. Like half a cow. I put it on my goddamn table and I cut it up.
Nice. But that was so fun for you.
Still haven't tasted it. So ready.
You haven't eaten any of it yet? I'd have been like smoking that meat that night.
Yeah, you love smoking your meat, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Every night.
Okay.
Smoking the meats. Every time I open a beer, it sprays all over my laptop. It pisses me off. I always wonder what's on my laptop, and it's just the various beers we've had.
Why is there all these stains on your laptop, bro?
It looks like blood.
God, it's just all these weird stains.
So
why is your keyboard sticky, bro?
Extensive research. Just got to get really into the research for these things. Doesn't stop. It's quite the rush.
That porn stars are succubuses.
Yeah, see,
I gotta really research
that episode was really rough because it took me the longest research I've ever done on my laptop ever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really had to get into it. Halloween was good. Did you take your son trick or treating?
Oh, fucking Halloween! I totally forgot about it. Yeah. We went trick or treating for like 20 minutes, but it was like 40 degrees.
It was cold,
so we left.
dude. It was cold. Yeah, my father-in-law built a wagon that he put behind the four-wheeler and drove the grandkids around. So my kids and my brother-in-law's kids. And I walked behind the wagon all night, just freezing my ass off. And they got to get candy, and then we got back in, and their hands were all swollen and red. And I'm like, man.
Yeah, I think I saw you had liquor. You were drinking behind the wagon.
I had like a big brown bag of bourbon in my jacket. It's the only way to keep warm in the winter. Yeah, I forgot Halloween was even like coming up. It's been such a busy fucking month.
In spirit of the spooks, we got a good Reddit thread title. I'll give you the honors here, Britt. Go ahead and read it.
People who experience ghost or demonic encounters. What's your story?
I love me a good demon.
Speaking of demonic encounters, we need to do the Ouija board again. Speaking of
which,
it
didn't work, right? It didn't work last time.
No, it didn't do anything. I'm excited though to take it to the Clown Motel.
Oh yeah. They had free beer last week, apparently, right?
Yeah, up until Halloween, there was an add-on where you could get free unlimited beer. And I'm like, fuck. How did we not go on Halloween to get all the free beer?
We only knew.
Yeah, if you think about it.
Someone just dressed up as a clown that's like ugly and like smoking a cigar, gets out of the car,
buys the free beer
room, says, "Where's the free beer?"
I looked on their website and they've got some crazy ass rooms, man.
Like I've looked at them too.
It's nuts. I think they've done an overhaul. It's a little nicer, and they advertised on their site monthly pest control.
I was gonna say that. I saw that too.
Yeah, I was like,
there's
that's cool.
only roaches at the end of the month,
so we have to book it after they spray because it's like the last day before they're servicing again.
Man. It's like a little tingly. You get the tingles.
But yeah, I'm excited to talk about some ghost and demonic encounters. But all right, first one is from Black and Artsy. For once, I'm early to this kind of question. Ha ha. That's cool. We got to get on the thread early. I went to uni in South Africa, and I lived in a flat, an apartment that was next to a hotel. The Radisson, actually. My light would every now and again switch itself on and off, which I figured was an electrical failure. But the creepiest would be if I left the room for a few minutes and came back to find the light on or off. Like even the switch would be pushed down. I used to sleep with my curtains open. One day I woke up to go to the bathroom. It was very late, like 3 a.m. My room was across the restaurant. I saw a man walking across the restaurant in a tux, and I was like, odd. There weren't usually any people up there at night. I came back from the bathroom and I see him walk past again, in the same direction. At this point, I feel a little uneasy. I scooch closer to the window. Please note I'm in the dark while the restaurant lights are on so I can see this person, but they should not be able to see me. The person again passes by, headed in the same direction. Now I'm really creeped out because I don't see them when they come back. It's as if there are many people who look exactly the same who are passing by the same spot. Anyway, the third time around, he stops, turns, and cups his hands around his eyes while looking through the window as if he's looking right at me. I ducked, crawled out of my room, and spent the night in the living room. LOL. I won't lie and say I'm a skeptic, but I'm definitely like an ignorer. Like I never spoke about this while I lived in the place because that would make it real. But after I left, I was like, the place might have been haunted, if hauntings are a thing.
Okay. All right, this one is from Mother Pattern 2609.
Hell yeah.
Very specific. I hallucinated biblical angels on an ayahuasca trip once. Aya mimics a near-death experience, and I'm pretty sure most historical prophets, mystics, and other weirdos who have described angel encounters did so after starving themselves to near death in the wilderness, so that there is a rational/scientific explanation.
Well, the real explanation of angels, remember we covered that episode.
Maybe they're fucking real.
Well, yeah, but the real depiction of an angel, it's not like some glowing guy with wings. No, it's like big floating fucking eyeballs.
Yeah, well, hang on here. She's going to describe them. Anyway, the angels I saw were fucking terrifying.
All caps.
Multiple eyes does not come close to covering the number of eyes involved. There are too many. That's all I got. Once I figured out what they were, we were cool, but those mofos have no chill. Someone responds, I'm jealous. What are they doing? Staring. Mostly fucking staring. If you've ever been to a big aquarium with a really big tank full of fish, imagine being suspended in the middle of the tank with your pockets full of chum. What?
Pockets full of what?
Pockets full of chum. Completely surrounded by all the fish, crowded up very close.
I thought you were about to say, like, have you heard that song? Pocket full of chum, pocket full of chum. Like last time, you're like, you scared motherfucker, go to church.
Yeah. With a pocket full of shells. Right.
So bad. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You all right?
I almost fell out of that chair.
Oh, my God, bro. Anyways, they're staring at you and waving their fins, except instead of fins, it's way too many wings. And instead of water, it's transparent, multicolored fire.
Damn.
I think they wanted to be reassuring, actually. Hi, we're emissaries of the divine will, and there are so many of us, and we are super happy to see you.
Nope.
This is what I mean when I say they have no chill. According to Abrahamic canon, there are a tiny handful of angels who are permitted to speak directly to humans because the rest of them, and there are a lot, don't have the diplomatic skills to not make us shit fucking bricks when they show up.
Yeah.
And even the diplomatic ones still have to say, I know I'm kind of appalling, but don't shit bricks, please. They are pretty amazing once I got over being horrified, and the human mind is a fucking trip. Literally.
I know I'm scary, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't shit your britches, okay?
I don't like the smell. It's not very angelic, if you know what I mean.
Makes me kind of sad.
More of that Satan shit.
No, don't cry, darling. It makes my knees hurt. All right. This is from Agitated Resort 344. I've had a good amount of paranormal instances, but the one that affected me the most was that I would always see this man everywhere when I was growing up. And I mean like the grocery store, at school, my house, etc. I even saw him when my family and I moved overseas. He is always dressed in the same clothes and would never get too close. It was never creepy, just like he was checking in, and as I got older, I saw him less and less. By the time I was 16, I hadn't seen him for a while, and during this time, my father reconnected with his biological father's side of the family, so my grandpa's family. When my dad was 2, his mom left his father because he was mildly abusive and suffered a lot from the war, PTSD, addiction, etc. And since my mother moved away, she lost all contact with her former in-laws, which is why my dad never really knew them. My dad met his father when he was 18, after my grandfather had sobered up and was actually an AA sponsor, ended up devoting the rest of his life to helping other veterans. Unfortunately, my father was not over what happened with his mother or how he treated his mother and just wasn't ready to make a relationship with him. Additionally, in his eyes, he already had a dad, which was his stepdad, and the man who raised him. My grandfather would die a year later from organ failure. Jumping back to when I was 16, my father contacted my woman, who claimed to be his cousin. She explained that her mother was my dad's aunt and had been looking for him and siblings for years. They all talked for months on the phone, and during the summer before my junior year in high school, my dad and I took a trip to visit his whole extended family. During this time, we could visit my grandfather's grave, get to know what he was like post-recovery, and connect with the family my father didn't know was looking for him. Their instant connection was so beautiful, and since that year, we've all gone on holidays together, spent Thanksgiving and Christmas together, and seen each other as much as possible. But that really isn't the point of the story. The point is that when we were visiting his family, he started going throughout photo albums, and before this time, I had never seen what my grandfather looked like. So you can imagine my surprise when the man I saw for my entire life was the man I now call Grandpa.
What?
What a twist!
What a twist! I was going right there.
What a twist!
Oh my god. All right, this one is from Cycle Jones. Senior year in college, I was working late at night on an editing project for the campus TV station, which was located in the basement of the oldest building on campus.
Convenient.
It was generally agreed that there was a ghost or presence in the building because things would move or disappear for weeks only to reappear in a locked cabinet, only accessible by moving a couch, etc. You get the idea. Anyway, back to the story. It was around 2 a.m. when I got up to go to the bathroom, did my business, washed my hands, and went to wipe them on my pants as I walked towards the door when all of a sudden I hear the unmistakable ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. I mean, it's how phonetically it's... Anyways, it's the sound of the manual paper towel dispenser behind me. I look back, and there's a freshly released paper towel hanging there, waiting for me. Not to be rude, I grabbed the paper towel, dried my hands, said thank you to the room, and got the hell out.
So you say, fuck off!
Are you gonna grab it, bitch?
Grab my paper towel. Alright, this is from Deleted. When I was pregnant with my second child, I would have insanely vivid dreams. Usually just random things, but one night I dreamed about what I'd come to know as the Hat Man. I'll give a little background for context in the dream. My friend Anna recently moved to a different home, and her friend, Charlotte, moved into an old one. Me and Charlotte were only acquaintances, but since Anna had lived in the home, I was very familiar with it. In my dream, I was walking up to the house with my husband and my oldest daughter. I was coming to babysit for Charlotte. It's super foggy and dark with no other houses around it, nothing but a man sitting outside of the fence. He had his back turned to us, just staring at the house as he sat in a wheelchair. The feeling I had was extremely uneasy, and something about the man was just off. As we approached, I got the sense that this man wanted to get into the house, but couldn't. He appeared to be middle-aged, nothing stood out besides the wheelchair, and his hat. It was a hat you'd see in a show like Peaky Blinders. The closer I got, the more I somehow knew that this was not a good person. In fact, he was not a person at all, but something pretending to be one. And the wheelchair was only a guise for him to seem like he was not any form of threat. Don't ask me how I knew all this. It's just dream logic, I guess. I said to my husband as we came up beside him, almost passing the entrance to the gate, "Don't look at him. Don't talk to him." For whatever reason, I looked at his face then, and he started to change. I can't really describe what he became, but as it grew and morphed, I could sense his anger fuming as he became this distorted, towering thing. We quickly rushed past him into the house. He disappeared. When I got into the house, nothing was right. It was abandoned and dilapidated, save for a worn kitchen table with 3 little girls, all in the same onesie. I could see 2 were twins and 1 slightly older. Now, Charlotte only has 1 son and a toddler girl, and I have never babysat for her or met her children. I told Anna about the dream a few days later. I always tell people my dreams. I think they're entertaining and weird, and I'm sure anyone who has the misfortune of hearing about them probably just thinks the latter. She agreed it was a weird dream and said Charlotte had been talking about her son complaining of a ghost or something in his closet at night scaring him. She told Charlotte about my dream, and shortly after, she reached out to me privately, and what she said sent shivers down my spine. Before her daughter was born, she had a miscarriage, twins, and her son had been intermittently telling her about some ghost that came out of his closet at night and with a weird hat on. She also said she had been extremely depressed and feeling very off lately. Charlotte asked if I had ever heard of the Hat Man, but I never had, and just as well, the Hat Man in my dream wasn't the same type as the one her son described when he talked about the thing that was in his room at night. I told her all the details in my dream. We ended our convo agreeing it was very strange. I didn't talk to her again after that. Honestly, I'd forgotten all about it since I was so busy with a toddler and would be giving birth soon. My pregnancy was hard and postpartum was harder. I immediately had severe PPD, and honestly, my brain went to some scary places during that time. I don't want to get into that part much, but I'm really lucky to still be here now writing this. One day, a few months after I had my second daughter, I laid down on the couch to sleep while the baby sleeps. I was in some weird half-dream, half-awake state when I heard and felt someone come to the edge of the couch, standing behind where my head was. I got the feeling it was a man, and he was frightened. Just as fast as he appeared, he disappeared, and someone, rather something, was left standing behind him. The sense of dread I felt through my entire body was so intense. I felt heat burning through my body just before I jerked awake. As I opened my eyes, jolted upright, and turned back to face what was behind me, I caught a strange glimpse. It was something like a fleeting shadow, just a black outline or shadow type thing. A tall man wearing a wide-brimmed hat. Then in a blink, he vanished. What the hell did I just see? What the hell just happened? I don't even know why I said anything. It just came out of me. Why? And in a quiet, retreating voice that was not my own, but unmistakably a man's, I hear, "Because you invited me in." After the initial shock, I questioned my sanity. I realized that whatever that thing was, it was the very same energy I had felt from the man in a wheelchair in my dream months before. I'm not one to believe in shit like this, and quite honestly, it was the last thing I was thinking about since I was so busy and tired from the C-section and adjusting to a new baby. I googled the description of what I saw and scrolled through images. There it was, the dark silhouette wearing the same hat with the caption, "The Hat Man." I read so many articles trying to piece together this strange experience, it made no logical sense.
This one is from Mekia Taku. When I was 20, I moved into a house with my then girlfriend. It was a 3-bedroom rental in a decent part of town, and really, really cheap. The only downside was that my landlord didn't live in my state and didn't speak English, so repairs took time. Thanks to a series of events involving my girlfriend's job making her come into work and her brother being a flake, I ended up moving in everything by myself.
A series of unfortunate events.
10 minutes into the move, I had the first encounter. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a black dog looking up the stairs at me. I thought I was hallucinating from exhaustion, but then my dog, a large German Shepherd mix who was upstairs with me, walked over to the stairs and started growling, looking straight at it. The dog casually walked away. I ran downstairs and looked everywhere, but I couldn't find it. We both saw the dog a few more times and a few other weird sights, sounds, and experiences in the house. But there was one that was beyond a doubt a paranormal experience. It is what caused us to move out. Our master bedroom was upstairs. It was particularly hot. It was a particularly hot summer, and the old AC wasn't cooling upstairs very efficiently. So we slept in a bedroom on the main level, and that I was using as a computer room and / guest room. This room always had a weird vibe to it, and we had noticed that our dog, who typically followed us everywhere, would not go in. Instead, he would lay down in front of the doorway and wait for us. He was a little strange at times, so we wrote it off as that. At some point in the middle of the night, I woke up being violently shaken. As I came to, I could feel a hand firmly holding my arm and shaking me back and forth. Thinking the house was on fire and that my girlfriend was trying to wake me, I jumped up and turned around to get out of bed. That put me face to face with what a lot of people would call a shadow person. It was a black mass, vaguely in the shape of a human, but by the light of the street light outside of the window, I could clearly see it. I could feel freezing cold air pouring off of it. Thinking I was dreaming that my girlfriend was still trying to wake me, I turned around only to see her still in bed, still sound asleep. I turned back around, and the shadow was still there. Now wide awake and full of adrenaline, I withdrew back away from it. After having sufficiently scared the bejesus out of me, the shadow, I like that word, the shadow slowly turned away from me, lumbered towards my door, and out into the hallway. My dog, who was sleeping in the hall, woke up and skittered backwards into the bedroom towards me, terrified.
I love that word, lumbered. It's just such an aggressive, moving word. Just lumbered over.
You should have scared the bejesus out of the shadow person. I sat on the bed and collected myself before jumping back out of bed and going to the hall. I turned the light on, and of course, it was gone. I didn't wake my girlfriend up, but I also didn't sleep until the sun came back up. I told my girlfriend about it the next day. We called the landlord and told her that we were moving out. I told her the house was haunted and that we were not staying after the current month. She seemed to understand and didn't protest it at all.
She's like, all right, that's good for me.
Yeah, it's haunted. Okay, yeah.
About fucking time. It's running out. All right, this is from Creepy Background 14. So I've always been sensitive to the paranormal. I don't like the paranormal.
I'm a bit sensitive.
Don't talk about ghosts around me. I don't like it.
Oh, no.
My mom has told me strange stories about when I was a kid and the things I would claim to have seen. Apparently these were things a 6-year-old wouldn't really know about. Anyways, fast forward about 14 years and I'm living with my grandparents. They purchased a home in a subdivision and picked a plot of land to have it built on, so they were the first and only people living in this home. I have no explanation as to what I've experienced, but I would see shadows and little glowing balls of light here and there. Nothing too creepy, except the hallway. They had an L-shaped hallway, and my bedroom was at the end of the hall. So if you take an L and turn it 90 degrees clockwise, my bedroom would be where the top of the L would be, and the kitchen or dining room, sitting room would be at the opposite end. So to get to my bedroom, I'd have to turn a corner and go to the end of the hallway. Yeah, we get it. Right after turning the corner, we would feel a sense of dread. Like something was right behind you, about to snatch you up, but once you crossed the threshold to your bedroom, that feeling went away. And this happened every time.
He's afraid of the snatch.
Day or night. Son of a bitch. Fucking cleat. Day or night.
You're like, you tried to carry on. Like, oh shit, I know what he's saying.
Hi, Buddha.
You get out of here. Man, I gotta kick her out. She'll be allowed. Get out. Not allowed. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
Then there was one night that myself, my grandmother, and my husband were watching TV. Just some comedy movie I don't remember. Anyways, the computer room doors were in the living room. They were double doors and opened up wide. While we were watching the movie, we heard children laughing. The only child in the home was my 1-year-old, and she was sleeping on the couch next to my husband. So I got up and opened the den of doors, expecting to see my grandpa on the other side watching some videos. The lights were off and there was nobody there. We shrugged it off, finished our movie, and went to bed. The next morning, we were all in the kitchen talking about the previous night, and my brother and his girlfriend walked in. They asked what we were talking about, so I told them about the children laughing. They both turned pale and looked at each other. Turns out they had a Ouija board and were playing with it that previous afternoon. They started to hear children laughing outside their bedroom and quickly said goodbye, then put the board in the den. I told them to burn it, and we never heard the laughing again. I'm supposed to burn a Ouija board.
This one is from Bubba Lub in the Club.
Bubba Lub in the club. Bubba Lub in the club! You're so stupid.
This is a super long, but I'll shorten it. Ages 4 to 8. I'm living in a house on the west side of my town. Ever since I was little, I had odd experiences in this house. I was constantly talking to my empty closet, setting things like toys and dishes out in twos, and complaining to my mom about my blankets being pulled off of me in the middle of the night. Of course, because I was a kid, I could have had an imaginary friend. Everyone took it with a grain of salt, even when I said that this presence was a little boy about my age. My grandfather, who was a medium, came to my house one day for an unrelated incident. This was his first time setting foot inside. As soon as he did, and he told my mom that the house is haunted, and that he didn't know exactly what the spirit was, but did know it died in a house fire. Yeah, Papa lost his marbles, right? Well, fast forward a couple weeks later, and he comes back to help my mom pull a door, and the frame off of the wall due to a mold remediation project. We had a leak close to the basement doorway, which was in the kitchen, and needed it taken care of. As they peeled back the paint, they saw scorches and burn marks in the lining that surrounded it.
No.
So, sure enough, little boy, age 6, died in a house fire. My mom checked the property records.
All right, this is from Comfortable River 238. While I was in uni, we rented a place that the previous tenant died in. Nobody found the body for weeks. He was a lonely guy. When we moved in, my flatmate had a cat who hissed at one place in the upstairs bedroom hallway. We also had a closet that used to open on its own. Used to scare the shit out of us. The cat hissing at a white wall and the basement closet always opening on its own. We'd get home at 3 a.m. at a night out, and this cat was going mental at nothing, and this door would just open.
This one is from Blonda's Gift. A few years ago, I was asleep, but I wasn't. I wasn't asleep. I remember everything. All right. I saw myself lying there, and a girl was standing next to my bed in my sleeping body. I saw myself, but I knew I was not in that body. She did not. Yeah, we'll skip that. This one is from Certain Literature 28.
These names, man.
Went to college for a culinary arts program. This was in a building that was old, had been used for a mental hospital / asylum. The building had been redone for the most part, but some of it had the old hospital beds with their IV stands and old leather shackles on the bed frame still. The basement had been used for a morgue, among other things, and that is where the kitchen was at. An old elevator ran from the main floor down to the basement, and we were always warned never to use it because it would stop, jerk, and sometimes lock up at weird times. Most disconcertingly, however, the elevator would sometimes unnecessarily open as you walked past, as if it were inviting you to test your fate.
Like, step on in.
Get in. Come on.
Play the elevator game?
Several times I would be walking past it, and the door would just slide open, and nobody is inside. Nobody even nearby. So we all would just nod and smile and say, "No thanks, creepy elevator," and try to walk past
polite.
it without speeding up too fast. The other creepy part was that the power in the halls would flicker randomly, and it happened several times when the doors would invite you in. The chills you would get walking that long, uneven tile hallway that sloped gently down toward the elevator doors were so unnerving.
All right, this is from Accurate Western 346. What is up with these names, man? I lived in an old mansion. Oh, showboat. That was remade into apartments. This had abandoned sites right next to where people lived. There was a room above the kitchen that had excellent views to the rest of my apartment. My own room was first door past a small garden which connected all the apartments, which was not big, but not small. And past my own door, there were stairs leading to an abandoned room which was connected to the terrace. Under the room and its balcony, there was the kitchen. Multiple weird sounds could be heard in the passage that led to the house and connected all the doors to enter the 3 apartments. One was used as storage, and I never got in, but were even more common when there were outages. So once I was going to drink some water well past midnight, and the fastest path was cutting past the small garden to the kitchen. I freeze just past my door as I feel something looking at me from above. I aim at the thing with my phone since that part of the house is dark, the only light being right next to the room's door up there. Maybe it was the dog in the nearby terrace that somehow got in. I don't see anything, so turning on my lantern and zooming in the camera, I can distinguish a canid-like head in which, with a black body, the thing is on its rear legs reaching like 2 meters high, while not doing a single sound from the rotten wood that was on the floor. I saw whatever it was getting closer to the window frame to look at me better. This all happened in less than a minute, in which I snapped a picture in fear and noped back to my room. The picture is of terrible quality, but you can see its nose. No more sounds that night, but I'm glad as fuck that we moved out of there. Recalled it moved towards me. There's a picture. What?
I don't see it.
Nothing there.
See nothing.
Just the ceiling looks creepier. Oh, fucking moldy.
This one is Old Apricot 4566. When I was 13 or 14, we moved into my grandfather's to take care of him. He had a tumor in his esophagus that just kept growing until finally it suffocated him.
It's funny. That's not funny.
That's not funny. Fuck is your problem, dude?
The funny thing is the first comment here, I can't see anything in your pic.
It's just a dick pic. I'll show you.
It's like, look at this nose. That's a fucking trunk.
It's just a penis.
That's just a little penis.
It was a micro.
It's a little micro penis. I don't see any penis in that picture.
It was a pretty traumatic thing to witness. Anyways, after he passed, my parents inherited the house. There was always weird shit happening, but the only one that really sticks out was one night I came in late and decided to sit down at the kitchen table for a snack. We had an upright piano in the living room, which was odd because nobody ever played it. That particular night, while eating, one single note started playing on it over and over. It scared the shit out of me, so I kindly asked it to stop, at least until I was finished eating, and it did. Stop while I eat, please.
I'm almost done eating, and then you can carry on.
After I finished my snack, I headed upstairs to my room, and when I got about a quarter of the way up, it started again.
I mean, it listened.
I haven't lived there in ages and never told anyone the story. My parents ended up selling the house, and one of my cousins, who had a 3-year-old daughter. Okay. My parents... what?
Sold the 3-year-old daughter? He sold the house and his daughter. What the fuck? You can't do that. You can't sell people anymore. Punctuation's important, my guy.
Your parents are monsters.
So what we're getting is your parents are fucking monsters.
My parents ended up selling the house to one of my cousins who had a 3-year-old daughter.
That makes more sense. Fucking monster.
Parents are fucked up.
I didn't want my kids. I just
sold her.
This story
has nothing to do with a piano. There's so much more.
Selling children. You fucking idiot.
Anyways, it's not important. Let's go back to the piano.
This piano, though, comes with the child.
One day, my cousin overheard the little girl talking and giggling, so I went to go see what was going on. When I asked her who she was talking to, she told her mother that she was talking with Grampy and used his name. This was a good 10 plus years after my grandfather died. It made me smile because I thought back to the night with the piano. It was good to know that he was hanging around and watching us kids grow up.
All right, this comes from Digging This Air. Really digging this air. Shadows on the walls and the shapes of people, but you can't look at them or they'll move. It's a regular occurrence. Only happened in one house and never anywhere else. Never before or never since. Also, voices arguing that stopped when approached. Watched a glass cup slide across a table. Saw a cell phone charger pick itself up and start wiggling around. All of this was also witnessed by my roommates and only happened in that one house. The only thing that compares is when I lived with my dad. I often thought people were home and walking around upstairs. Didn't think anything of it until my dad or my brother came home and I realized I'd been alone the entire time. There was also an occasional crash in the kitchen and nothing ever there except one time. It was a light that had fallen for some reason. On a lesser note, when I was a kid, we lived in a particular house for 2 or 3 years that I was terrified of for no good reason. I'd have disturbing dreams there, but never while at my mom's house. One recurring dream that was very vivid was about this old man who was convinced that he was my grandfather, kept trying to get me to go with him. Everything led to him trying to bribe me with toys and boats and things. This happened for months until one night I had a dream that there was a kid who looked just like me and seemed friendly, but I realized he was a ghost, so I tried to scream, but I couldn't. It wasn't until I was in my 20s that I realized that I could have been the kid that the old man thought I was. Just a thought, though.
This one is from Expensive Candle 9125.
That's one expensive candle.
First seen right after I entered primary school, around the age of 5 or 6, draped in light. I believe it was a seraphim, as described in the scriptures. Could roughly make out 6 wings and blinding light in the corner of our living room. I had been in my parents' bedroom, walking out to the kitchen for a sip of water. Before reaching the kitchen, so appeared this light, this being, communicated to me along the lines of not being afraid and praying for my father. So it's been told by my family ever since. My childhood memories are fleeting, few and fragmented, but I do remember the light, and I remember communication telepathically, lame as it is to say. Demons, be they come in reality or in the imagination by the way of sleep paralysis,
Jesus,
become a somewhat often occurrence after that event. It wasn't until the age of 12 or 13 that I was familiarized with regular sleep, free of the nightmares. What the fuck? Ever since, I have not had a regular visit. One-offs, sure, but altogether, no complaints. I feel like we're missing a lot of
Yeah, that
context
one's
there.
very limited.
Angels and demons, they're crazy.
They come from the shadows and the darkness. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, my child.
Damn it, Jesus.
Jesus, it's 3 a.m.
Jesus, get the fuck out of here. Jesus.
All right, this is from Accomplished Bus 255.
Accomplished, but
I'm really liking these names, man. I have so many strange stories, but the most prolific and horrifying ones are when I experience sleep paralysis. I know what you're thinking. That's not a demonic encounter, but please read on and you will understand. When I first had sleep paralysis, I was around 14, the actual dream itself. I woke up and I was like floating above my bed, looking down at myself, asleep, in bed. I felt so scared and I could definitely feel something bad or evil. I felt like I needed to get back to my body, but I couldn't. I felt like something was holding me there, and after struggling for some time, I was flung across my room, landed on my bedroom floor. Again, all I wanted to do was get back to my body. I tried so hard to get back to my sleeping body in bed, but I just couldn't. The feeling of being restrained and held back was even stronger. I don't remember the dream ending, but I was back in my body and awoke so terrified and unable to sleep early hours in the morning. There were other occurrences around my house that happened prior to this dream and also after. For a long time, I thought I could hear deep breathing coming from the air vents on the roof above my bed. It scared me, but I just wanted to ignore it. I was scared to pay any attention and brushed it off as my dad's snoring echoed. After the sleep paralysis happened, I was in the shower one day and I hear what sounded like deep, raspy man's voice softly say, "I have a surprise for you when you get out." That's not good. It's not a surprise you want.
it's not a good one.
Look at my penis.
I got a nice donkey.
At the time, I assumed it was my dad.
It's even weirder. It has nothing to do with that. It's not a paranormal at all, man.
At the time, I assumed it was my dad, and he had a Twilight poster for me from the newspaper that day. Okay. And just thought his voice sounded softer and raspier because I was in the shower. When I got out of the shower, the manhole... Jesus, fuck, dude. What is this story?
The goddamn manhole.
What is... What the fuck? A manhole? What is she talking about? When I got out of the shower, the manhole, which was positioned right outside the bathroom door, was open. Cleat? Shut the fuck up, dude. I gotta get through this. I'm so close. Fuck! Which was positioned right outside the bathroom door was open, exposing the pitch black insides of the roof. Oh, manhole. I screamed so loud and investigated everyone in the house if they opened it. Nobody had opened it. I continue to have sleep paralysis episodes like this occasionally through life. I'm 26 now, and this has happened maybe 5 or 6 times maximum since the first time. It varies, like I won't always be floating. Sometimes I'm getting dragged out of my sleeping body in bed and unable to hang on to my body. Happens in different ways, but it's the same thing, like I'm conscious, and I'm being removed or forced out of my unconscious physical body. I've noticed this only happens when I'm really struggling and in a very weak emotional or psychological state. There may have been smaller things that occurred throughout my childhood growing up, but they weren't always unpleasant, just more supernatural and ghostly. I think I'm possibly more susceptible to these things, but to be honest, these sleep paralysis episodes scare the shit out of me and I want nothing to do with it. They leave me on edge for days and I struggle to sleep.
Scary manholes.
I was struggling staying awake on that one.
All right, this one is from Pixel 3000. I actually based a no sleep story off of one of my encounters and plan on making more. But long story short, I was camping out in the woods with my family when a guy and his dog comes up to us. He asks if we can watch his dog because him and some friends are dirt biking in the area. We agree and watch the dog for the night. The next day, one of his friends says the dog's owner crashed into a tree. Shortly after, an ambulance arrives, and one of my cousins points out that they see something in the woods, like a tall figure or something. I didn't really think much of it until I went home from camping and had a dream. I was in a dark forest, and the thing we saw in the forest was behind me. It was dark, tall, and had
handsome.
and had like no features on it except for limbs, a head, a torso, and 2 big glowing eyes. I started running, and every time I looked back, it was closer, until eventually it caught up and I woke. When I woke, I saw it standing in my room. It wasn't sleep paralysis or another dream, because I could move, and I was very awake at this point. I didn't do anything. It just stared. Eventually, I fell back asleep, and when I woke up, it was gone. Spooky. Next time I saw my cousin, I told him about it, and he said the same thing happened to him, only when he saw the figure in his room, its eyes were yellow instead of white. There are more stories tied to it, but that's the main one I'll tell everyone. Jesus fucking Christ. I hated that story. Okay, go ahead.
Alrighty, well, that's going to wrap us up for the night. Thank you for joining us for some more spooky Reddit shit. Huge shout out to our 9 paid supporters of the show: Claytor, Lord of Soup, Curtis and Lara, Jackson, Laura, Modelo Time, Mothman, Devin, Conklin family, and Lou. Your constant support is absolutely amazing. And we're getting closer and closer to getting video and going to the Clown Motel with our paid supporters with our subscribers on YouTube.
We're only 93 away. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us get us out there. As always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.